tell me what's going on for you with your LSAT prep and how I can help.
Actually, I think my biggest problem, those two answers, like I said in the video, and many students of you have the same thing. And sometimes my head is working well and choosing a good answer. And sometimes I'm choosing, it depends on the day. It depends, I don't know, how everything is going around, if I have a little stress. And sometimes I'm just wondering, how can I work on that? You know?
Is there a particular section where you notice this happening more than others?
Yeah, logic reasoning.
Okay, sure. This is a very common situation. Well, one thing I want you to think about is that when you're down to 2, you're not always getting it wrong. Sometimes you're guessing and getting it right.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to notice all of the times that you ever have any doubt in the slightest about what you're picking, and then you want to review those questions later.
Mm-hmm. I'm doing that. And I will not say that I'm doing that 100% because sometimes, we put on the side and it's too late, time passing. If I'm not doing it immediately after, it seems like it's too late. I do not, if I'm doing it like in 2 days, it's not good. I have to do it immediately after. And sometimes we don't have time. So, I think that everything is connected to the stress level. And I don't know how to make myself working only on that, thinking about nothing else,
Mm-hmm.
This I don't know to make. I think I'm very stressed before I start to prepare all the pencils and everything. I'm already stressed. Like I feel, my first session, will it be logic games and why I like logic games? Will it be reading comprehension? It will be not good. My first session in general. It's like prep, when I'm practicing sports, I'm practicing Taekwondo. In the beginning, if we're not hot, we do not make it well. We don't feel comfortable and we don't have speed. We don't have we're not still ready. So it's like this with my first session in general.
That makes a lot of sense. So the idea of a warm-up, you find a warm-up really helpful in Taekwondo.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Have you ever tried doing a warm-up for the LSAT?
Yes, but with the timing, the problem is that I'm also I'm ready to go, but I'm not okay, I will prepare everything, like an hour before. I'm not such a person. I always have something to do, and the problem is that. So I don't know, maybe put some kind of a schedule. That's why I wanted to speak with you. Maybe you can suggest me, you have a lot of plans, right? Like prep plan, like schedule. Maybe I buy something like this for myself where I can schedule like an hour before the examination and prepare and be ready and warm up. I don't know.
Yeah, I think, you certainly got to have a plan of attack. You've got to have a schedule. You've got to block out the time. One thing that stood out to me in your prep materials that you sent me for our conversation today is that you indicated that your studying wasn't necessarily that consistent because you have a lot of other things going on.
Mm-hmm.
So what else do you have going on? Are you working? Are you in school?
Yes, I'm doing PhD in conflict resolution. So I'm in school and I'm also working for school and I'm also working for myself. So it's like I have 2 jobs, not really, like partial time, but it depends on the day. Sometimes it's like full load. So I never know exactly how it will go. And it's true that a lot of things are going around and I'm not from here. So I'm still working with France sometimes. And we are working also, I'm sometimes working in the night, like 3 a.m. I'm still not sleeping, depending on the days. And that's why I think that LSAT make me stressed because only I think about that. Like I will do, like I did like each week, before taking March exam, I did like each Sunday, I programmed this to make a full load exam, like a big test, 5 sessions. I did it like each Sunday. But once only I could not take it. And it was like, I was upside down because all my schedule went wrong. I did it on Monday night. It was not good. It was not, absolutely not good. That's why I think if I will have something like professional schedule, not my schedule, but something with professor who will assign, and then it will help me. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think.
No, I could certainly help you craft something like that. It sounds like you do need a plan of attack, and you also have all these competing obligations. And, we're only human. We only have 24 hours in the day, and we need to get our sleep, especially the LSAT requires us to be sharp and at our peak performance, kind of like if you were doing some Taekwondo match or competition and you didn't sleep enough the night before, your performance will suffer. The same is true of the LSAT. The LSAT requires a mental sharpness that Taekwondo also requires. And so I guess my next question for you is, when are you taking the LSAT? When are you registered for it?
I took in March, but I don't know still if it will, because as I said, my first session was not good. It was 8 a.m. for me. It was too early. I'm not this much person of the morning. So I slept like maybe 4 hours, 4.5. It was not good.
No, I certainly wouldn't do my best with only 4 hours of sleep. I need my 7-8 hours minimum, So
really? Before
of course, yeah, for sure. If I'm tired, that, as you said, those difficult logical reasoning questions where you're down to 2, the LSAT is testing such tiny nuances of language that it's hard for anyone if they're not sharp. And then if English is not your native language, then of course it's even more difficult. So I'd consider that as well. And so I'd say we have to figure out, when are you taking the LSAT, and orient a schedule or a plan around that. Now, you mentioned the morning's not great time for you. Well, one good thing is that the June LSAT is in the afternoon. So maybe you want to go for the June LSAT. That's an option. We have not too much time before then. Of course, we have about a month and a half. And so I want to know that you are able to put your other obligations on the back burner and reduce them to some extent. Because otherwise the same thing could happen again, where you're not finding the time to study and devote it, especially if you're working and you have your PhD program. Those are obligations that are always calling to you, right? But the LSAT, you're doing that more on your own. And so it's too easy for that to be the lowest priority.
It's like, it's my first thing to do, but sometimes, we're obliged to do something else. So like, that's why if I will have some kind of a professional schedule, I'm quite consistent person. So I will believe in that. I will work according to that, and will put this like the most important thing. Like now it's the end of the semester and PhD program. So I think not to take summer classes because I want to prepare for June start. Because if I will take classes again, it will be the same situation. Even if it will be at noon, LSAT for me at noon, of course, is perfect. But it's still, if I will not have time to prepare, it will be again the same story.
Right. So this requires that you block off time every week for the LSAT. Is there a certain day of the week when you don't typically have other things scheduled, and hopefully maybe a couple of days like that where there's
yeah.
So
I can do that.
What days are like that? What days are your off days?
It's one of the at least one day, Sunday or Saturday, at least one. I can do both, but for the moment, like now, it's only one day because I still have to work on Saturday. And then it can be Sunday, and it can be, I don't know, say Wednesday, Thursday I can't, but Wednesday, like in the middle of the week, or Tuesday can't be the day also where I can assign half of the day.
Great. So if you could take half the day, that'll make an enormous difference for you. Now, It's still not ideal, but if you could get 4 hours on Wednesday and 5 hours on Saturday or Sunday, that's nearly 10 hours a week. And that's really the minimum I would recommend. Ideally, you want closer to 15 hours or 20 hours if you can get it. And so that requires some balancing with your other obligations. Maybe you could take a break from something, or the PhD program. Maybe your thesis or dissertation is not due for a while, and maybe you can delay working on that for a bit, just because the LSAT is a more pressing priority in the short term. And then of course, your alternative is to go for a later test date, maybe mid-July. There's one in mid-July, or maybe one in the fall. Now you'd have to check about whether those are administered in the morning or not. I think most of them,
they're in the morning. I think they're in the morning.
Yeah, I think most of them are in the morning, but you kind of have to deal with the situation as it is. And maybe that means that you just practice waking up early in the weeks leading up to test day. So if you're waking up at 9 a.m. now, you start moving it back 15 minutes at a time, maybe 15 minutes each day or 15 minutes each week, but set up a schedule for yourself where if you want to be waking up at 6:30 or 7 a.m. on test day so that you're ready to go at 8:30, 9 o'clock, that's what you want to do. It takes time to adjust.
Yeah, I know, but it's so hard. That's why, as I said, if I have something like I believe in, and I will, in general, will be consistent with that. I just need something which press me, on the side. I know I have to do that, in writing. And so if I can work something out with you, like a plan, will be perfect.
Yeah, well, the day-by-day study plans, they do lay it out for you exactly what to do every single day over the course of your prep. And they assume that you're doing about 15 to 20 hours of studying per week. And so you'd want to be performing up to that level. But if you can't, that's okay. You can make the best of it. This schedule is more important for the level of specificity about what to do than the particular day-by-day breakdown. Now, none of my schedules have anybody studying only 2 days per week, because the LSAT really does require more than that to achieve your fullest potential. Yeah. But the specificity about what to do is really the most important thing. And so if you have to load more of your work on Wednesday and the weekend, and you can't do as much during the week, that's okay. It's still good enough. The idea is that you're consistent and you know exactly what to do, meaning you read these pages in this prep book, you read these articles on my website, then you can read these specific practice problems from the books of prep tests. And so I'd say for you, let's say if you want to go for the June LSAT, maybe you want to get the 8-week schedule, and that will break it down for you. Or if you want to go for the September LSAT, then maybe you want to go for the 5-month schedule, and it'll be broken down for you. I'd say, honestly, for you to achieve your fullest potential, given everything else that you have going on, I'd say it's either you should cut out one of the things you currently have going on, or you go for September instead.
It's not my preference, because, as you know, I'm not a traditional student, and my age is pressing too. I don't want just to be 50, and go to law school. Well, it happened, but it's not my priority. It's not what I wish.
No, of course, I completely understand that. But at this point, even taking the June LSAT, you'd probably want to be applying this fall to start law school in 2020, right?
I already submitted, I don't know, 4 or 5 or something like that, applications. So, and I'm still thinking about other schools, but it's only about my LSAT because my GPA is high. I'm just like it's not normal. I understand that, because when I'm in the room, I'm not reacting normally. Like I'm very attentive to everything what's happening around. It's not like when I'm doing it by my own, I'm calm. Even if it's noise around me, I'm happy to do that, because with noise it's easier for me to learn how to manage after, But it's still, I think this is also due because, as you said, I was tired, and when you're tired, you cannot make it at your full potential. And so, yes, I have to work on my own schedule. And like you said, I will cut off my classes. I cannot do with classes. I will cut off this and it will work, but it's not possible to do. It's not normal. And then for reading comprehension, I wanted to speak with you very shortly, because I don't know what time is it. Maybe we have to finish now. I don't know. You have someone else.
I could stay a couple of minutes just to wrap up.
Okay, just 1 minute about reading comprehension. Maybe you have any advice for me, because like with reading comprehension, I would say that sometimes I want to sleep. It's so long, and it's not like games. I'm like, I'm in shape. I like it, but even logical reasoning, I can. But with reading comprehension, sometimes it's too long. How can I manage that?
Well, reading comprehension is definitely boring. It's meant to be boring. It's written that way. And so a couple of things. One of them is don't get bogged down in the details and all the evidence. Try to just walk away with what is the main idea and what is the author's opinion, if any.
Just, and don't think about other things like additional information, right?
Yeah, you don't want to spend time bringing in your outside information, of course, or outside knowledge. It's limit yourself to what's in the passage. And the other thing I would say is try to caricature or exaggerate the different viewpoints to make them more engaging. So if there's 2 different groups with 2 different viewpoints, try to give each group a name and exaggerate their point of view so that you can better relate to them. I can go, if you let me know which class you're going to join, then I'll make sure to talk about this during the class just to go into a bit more detail there. Great. Then the final thing I'd say on reading comp is you want to make sure to take very few notes or none at all. The people who do the best on reading comp spend very little time writing things down, highlighting, underlining.
Really?
It takes too much.
Because I'm highlighting a lot.
Okay. So maybe try a radically different approach and see what it does for you. It may take a few trials, a few attempts, a few sections before you start to get a rhythm. but give it a chance and see how that can impact things for you.
Just read it. Don't pay attention to write, because when we start writing, we don't read it right. We cannot do two things at the same time.
And it's also just taking you too long. You have the severe time constraint.
Okay, great. Now, thank you so much, Steve. I don't want to take any more time of you.
Of course. Now, before we go, I just want to end on one thing, because you touched on this earlier and I didn't really address it yet, which was the stress. The stress, which is real, the distractions, which are real. And I just want you to remember that while the LSAT as a whole is, of course, very important, no one particular test day is especially important, because you can always retake, and law schools do not average multiple LSAT scores.
Yes, I know that, but yeah, it's true. It's true.
And remember that now the LSAT's offered more frequently than ever before. It used to be only 4 times a year. Now it's going to be 9 or 10 times a year.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
So now you have, even just in front of you now, there's June and July, then there's September, October, and November.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
5 more times. Yeah. So you have many opportunities before you, and you said that you don't want this to delay your law school applications any further. And let's say March went great for you. Maybe you're done and you got the score you're happy with. That would be wonderful. But if maybe you didn't, and that's okay. But you can take it again this summer or this fall and apply for the following cycle. And I know that nobody wants to wait a year, but even just getting a few points more on your LSAT score could get you significant scholarship money or get you into a better law school. And so the value or the benefit of waiting that one additional year could add up to essentially tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars over the course of your entire career. If you graduate without debt, or you graduate or you go to a top tier law school or top 14 law school, that's going to completely change the trajectory of your career.
But do you think at my age, because I'm, I'm not traditional, as I said, I'm 38. So do you think it's not something which will be like a point less? No,
you're not that old, please. You're making me feel old now. But you still, even now, if you're 38, you still have a good 25, 30 years of your career, assuming that you retire at 65, and maybe you won't, right? So
yeah. I'm very in shape, so it's not a problem for me. But how they will look at, as I'm a foreign student, and I'm also an older student, how that's also making me think about that a lot.
Well, the work experience and the PhD will make a big difference for you. And if anything, they like to see that. They like to see that you're going into law school mature and that you're taking it seriously. A lot of people who are going directly from undergraduate, they don't like that quite as much, because they don't know if that person has a real sense of what the law school commitment is, what the investment is, and they're disciplined to put in the work.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Thank you so much, Steve. Thank you.
Of course, you have the track record of your work experience and the PhD program, which of course are taxing things. And I think the Taekwondo will also add something interesting for your application as well.
I wrote it in my statement.
Awesome. I'm glad. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Stephen. I hope to see you soon in your class. I will email you back. Okay.
Okay, great. It was a pleasure connecting with you, Oksana. Take care.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already to be notified of new episodes as I release them. And feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. In the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.